Hey, good afternoon. My name is Pablo Olivera Brizzio, and it's a pleasure to be with you here, at least virtually. I cannot be with you today, but nevertheless, I wanted to share some very quick insights about corporate secrets and how startups can benefit from. So let's start very quickly with the first story. This is my first approach to the corporate world as a startup. Let's say I had invented the first electric auto-lacing shoe in the world, like 1 decade before Nike, and I was so thrilled. I wanted to sell it to Nike. I wanted to speak to Nike, and this is what I did. I was inspired by the film Back to the Future 2, and I was asking, why can I have to wait? Why do you have to wait to the future to have all these gadgets? Why can't we have them now? And I worked for them for many years, and I came up with this electric auto-lacing shoe. There was a working prototype, as you can see in the next screen. So so yeah, this is how it looked, and it worked very well, though it was a very rough prototype. So I put it in the table of one of the executives of Nike in South America, and he was really shocked. Yeah, he said, "Pablo, this is amazing, but I don't have the last word." And I got a letter from the lawyers like 2 weeks later, telling me they were working on something similar, and they were not interested really. So this was my first wake-up call to the corporate world. I was saying, how come I have a great product? I don't have the means to take it to market, but these guys, they do. So why don't we join forces? So that was a very naive type of thinking. Yeah, I have the idea, you have the means, let's join forces. But you need to understand that back in the days, the concept of open innovation did not exist. So they were paying PhDs, like millions of dollars per year. And they could not, conceive that a 20-something-year-old out of nowhere, though I was working for IBM at the time, but still, who could come up with a disruptive idea that they didn't think about. So that was my first wake-up call. So the world did not work like I thought it would. So that was the first thing. Yeah. So now I'm going to talk about large corporations and demystifying a bit of large corporations. So large corporations are like giant mazes, and the real interconnection is known only to internal stakeholders or vendors that have worked with them before. So many fresh graduates are shocked when they join large corporations. They cannot believe how complex the decision-making process is. Sometimes it's not about logic or numbers, but about ego, power, and personal agendas. And a corporate is actually many companies in one, which pretty much functions as independent entities. So key technology decisions are often mandated from the main hub or of the company, many times in different geographies that don't communicate well with each other. Yeah, so you might have like I don't know, like the decision maker in Europe, and then you have like the Asia team, and they work like different companies actually, not as like startups would think that it works like a nice, holistic structure. The senior decision makers, you need to keep in mind, that they have been with the company maybe for 20 years. They probably have never heard about what a startup means. Yeah, and they have no idea what open innovation is. Okay, so this is in general. I'm talking in general, of course. After all these years working for different corporates, this is the feeling I got. Yeah. You need to identify the key decision-making region for your product, whether it's Europe, US, Middle East, Asia, whatever. Keep in mind, some employees have been incorporated from acquisitions, and deep inside, they feel they don't belong to the new company. Yeah. So I've seen this many times as well. Yeah. You talk to employees, and they have their heart and their mind like 10 years back attached to their old company. Yeah. And also keep in mind that change produces fear of the unknown, and technologies that maybe don't understand. They don't understand, right? So you're coming with a new technology, and they feel threatened sometimes. Okay, now let's move to the other one. Profile your potential organization as if you were a digital forensic professional. So what do I mean by this? I mean that you should do some due diligence, trying to understand as much as possible about the business, the motivation, the challenges. You need to know as much as possible about the organization, who is the CEO, when is the budgeting cycle, what are the main products or services they provide, who are the competitors and markets they serve, regulatory framework they need to abide by. You would be surprised how many startups don't do this work and then are rapidly discarded as they don't show no interest in the organization. Check the website, search for press releases, identify those decision makers that post regularly on topics about their domain of expertise, identify your champions, Bigger is not always better. Sometimes medium-sized companies are better candidates to work with. Startups think, oh, I have to go to the big company. No, this is not true. Many times, mid-sized company is more eager, is more hungry for your product to move ahead than the big ones that have it all. Okay. Now, something to avoid at all costs. Never do this when you pitch. Tell them that you can do everything or anything in AI, in blockchain, in IoT. We hate to hear this kind of things. Corporates hate to hear this kind of thing. Don't tell them. You need to be specific. You're solving a specific problem. And also, of course, don't ask them what's their business all about. Yeah, you should know that after you research. So now, build strategic alliances with other companies to make your position stronger. This is very, very important as a startup. So startups think that, yeah, okay, I'm ready. I can go and talk to the big companies. Maybe not. Maybe you need to do alliances with other smaller companies or companies that complement your offering and then go together. Yeah. So you need to make your position stronger. And sometimes you need to look to complement your offerings with other startups. Another good approach sometimes is to be under, a good example is Etisalat. Etisalat, they have this startup ecosystem. And if you join this ecosystem and they have new projects, they can call you and you can be part of those initiatives. Yeah. Also, you have to be mindful that there are many ways you can add value. For example, if you have a new technology, you can provide time and expertise to help regulators legislate on new technologies. In the UAE, for example, there's a lot of new things happening, and legislation is being written or has to be written, and you can collaborate to make that happen if it's it's a new technology that it's emerging. Also be aware that many corporates already work with strategic or preferred vendors. So you can also approach those vendors first. Instead of trying to just to go to the corporate directly, try to go to the vendors that are already inside the corporates, so they can complement their offering as well. Okay, you have 60 minutes to change the world. What do I mean by that? I mean that when you're pitching to a corporate, you have to be very concise, okay? Keep the intro and the marketing to the bare minimum. Highlight your competitive advantage and mention other companies you're working with to build confidence. If possible, you can mention one or two of their competitors, if that's true. Be mindful of the healthy competition and sensitivity between Dubai and Abu Dhabi, so avoid direct comparisons. Never take the academic approach, which is asking which is your biggest problem so you can design a solution. I mean, corporates hate this, and nobody's going to tell you their challenges, yeah, because people feel that if they tell you their challenges or their problems, they're exposing themselves. They haven't been good enough. They haven't been able to solve them themselves. Yeah, so don't expect people to tell you about the real problems. Okay, you'll need to decode it in the conversation somehow and doing your due diligence. Yeah. You have to cover 2 or 3 very, very specific use cases from their industry and explain why your new solution is superior. Provide options for the next steps. In this region, decision makers like around 3 to 4 options. So don't let them come up with the with the options, you can give them the options as a starting point. This helps them a lot to move forward. Otherwise, they tend to be a bit indecisive. Yeah. Proof of concept, yes, very, very important. Sometimes I would suggest trying to offer a POC for free if they're interested, of course. Because this, what's the advantages for you? You will know the team and decision making very well. You will know exactly what they want. You will be able to better tailor the tender response as you had a chance to understand the business from the inside better, and you can build a relationship. Yeah, of course, it's not a guarantee you will win the tender ultimately, but it will give you a very, very strong position for that. Now, nothing works. You try to get into corporates, nothing works. Okay, let me tell you a trick. A trick you can get into through the innovation department. Usually innovation departments are very open to startups. They want to know what they're doing, and they will probably try to work with you to do either a POC or a test or some type of engagement related to innovation. Yeah. Yeah, try to be flexible and realistic. Yeah, I mean, I mean, some time back I was with an Asian company, and they said yes, we will do a POC, but after we will start production. Well, I mean, I told them, well, you need to understand there is a process, right? The POC is just a proof of concept. It's not to start business the next day. Yeah, but going through the innovation department is a great way to start. Okay. Now, another important thing, prepare for the green questions. What do I mean? I mean that today, you know, carbon footprint, having some strategy, sustainable practices is very important for corporates because they need to respond to their shareholders and they have mandates, and many times they don't get loans if they don't comply with, you know, sustainable initiatives and all the mandates for sustainability. Yeah, so be prepared with that. Think about how your company is compliant. Yeah. Now, finally, but not least, sorry, I'm going to tell you a few ways that you can work with corporates without direct selling and really add value and position yourself for the future. So just give me a second. So NDAs, yeah, NDAs, it's a very good way to start because, you know, they would like to sign an NDA if they want to start discussing things with you. POC, we already covered that, but it's a very strong way in where you show value and you're learning about the organization. MOUs, they're very good for PR and also to a stepping stone into the business. Write a joint white paper. In some cases, they like this, the corporates, to be part of a publication. So that's a possibility. Be a speaker at their event. Yeah, many times corporates have a lot of events and they would like you to speak about your new technology. Provide training or awareness sessions. Yeah, this is similar to the previous one, but a bit different. So you can learn, you can teach the corporate about this new technology and the possibilities. Develop joint IP. Sometimes, you know, depending on the corporate, they're willing to generate IP and jointly with you if it makes sense. You can also sell your IP to them in some cases if they're interested. Conduct R&D on a specific challenge they have. That's another way to do it. Yeah, when they want to adapt your technology to their offering. And do joint press releases, of course, that's always welcome and a very nice marketing PR. So that's all for today. I just had I wanted to compress all in this 10 minutes that I have for this part, but very, very happy that I was able to share this with you, and I wish you a great rest of the day.